So, how to choose the specific keywords to use? We understood from the earlier part where I was talking about different methods by which you can identify these keywords. You could use a lot of offline methods to do keyword research, wherein you can make a list of different keywords. You can also use a lot of online tools like the Google AdWords keyword planner, like the SEM Rush software, etc., to identify which are the specific keywords that you need to have. But how do you arrive at the specific mix of keywords that you are going to use in order to optimize your website? Now, this is where we have to be a little creative and little involved in how we are going to create a strategy here. The first thing is to understand that there are keywords which are in the short head as well as keywords that are in the long tail of the keyword of the number of keywords that are out there, depending on the ranking of search terms or search results. Another thing to understand is that you probably have a website and there is a lot of content in the website. There is also something that is known as the keyword density. Now, generally if you take the website, if you count all the different words that are used in the website, and if you are going to take the total number of words and you are trying to identify what is the percentage of each keyword, then you will identify that there is a number that you get. Say for example, if I am using the keyword of cars, I have cars as a keyword, or I use cars as a word twice in every 100 words that I use. So, my total website has 5000 words, and in 5000 words I have somewhere around 100 times that I have used the word cars, right. So, when I divide it, I basically get that I am using the keyword cars as 2 times per 100 words that I have. Now, in order to understand how search engines are going to optimize, or search engines are going to identify whether or not the website is relevant, it needs to identify what is the keyword density. Many times we will find that there are a lot of keywords which are organically identifiable based on the content that you use. So, if you have a website that has a lot of words written down, a lot of content written down, and you can pick out which are the words or which are the keywords or which are the phrases that have a higher density, then you might want to use these as the keywords in your search engine optimization. There is also something called a keyword funnel. Remember, we discussed about the AIDA model and we discussed about the marketing funnel, digital marketing funnel. Similarly, you need to understand that different customers are in different stages of the purchase process. There might be customers who are in the awareness stage, there might be customers who are in the interest stage, there might be customers who are in the desire stage, there might be customers who are actually looking to purchase the product. For each of these customers who are in different parts of the purchase process or the purchase cycle, we might have to have a keyword strategy. Say for example, if a customer is in the awareness stage, the customer might be only interested in finding out more about mobile phones in general. The customer does not necessarily know which mobile phone to buy, the customer does not know necessarily which model to buy, the customer does not know which brand to choose. So, here for the customer who is in the awareness stage or very early in the purchase cycle, we might want to use broad keywords, keywords which are also part of the long tail, and we might use a keyword like a mobile phone. But when the customer moves further into the process, like when the customer is coming into a desire stage or when the customer is in the interest stage, the customer might be specifically looking for a certain product. So, hence the customer might be looking for a 4G mobile phone in the interest stage, because the customer has narrowed down the search from all mobile phones out there to mobile phones which are very specifically 4G, which is the requirement of the customer. Now, in the next stage where the customer is desireful, the customer might be searching for a specific brand. Say for example, you are looking for Apple 4G mobile phones. So, the keyword has to now be in line to providing the right kind of content for the customer who is in this stage. So, hence you will have Apple mobile phones 4G as the keyword that you use. In the later stages, when the customer is looking to actually purchase the product, you might want to use the term buy or sell or things like that, wherein the customer can come to the platform where a purchase can be made. You might want to also give the customer information about which stores to buy it from, where to buy it from, etc. So, the keyword mix should also follow the keyword funnel, which basically is going to now have different keywords one after the other, the keywords are going to become more and more specific as the customer moves through the entire journey of starting off the awareness, starting off from the awareness stage and going to the actual purchase of the product. The keyword should be also relevant to your website, and the keyword should be something that is very close to what your website is trying to provide to the customer, because many times the search engine, like we discussed earlier, is only good as the information that it provides to the customer. If the search engine doesn't always provide information that is very relevant, then people are not going to find a lot of value in the search engine. So hence your keyword should be identified based on the relevancy factor as well. So based on the long tail and the mix of the long tail versus the short head criteria, based on the kind of keyword density that your website could provide, based on the kind of keyword funnel that you can have, and based on the relevancy with respect to your website, you can identify which are going to be the keywords that you are going to specifically choose, and thereby you can have a mix of keywords that are going to be most appropriate to enhance the search engine strategy or to have better search engine optimization for your page. So once we have identified the specific mix of keywords, when I say the mix of keywords, I am talking about all the different types of keywords that you have identified based on the long tail, the keyword density, the keyword funnel, relevancy factors, etc. based on the research that you have done. You have a set of keywords that are out there, but the next part of the on page optimization involves some technical elements or some creative elements of how your website is, so that it is automatically picked up by the search engine and put as the best web page out there. Remember the example or the analogy that we use, that a search engine is like a librarian. The librarian should be able to see which books are the best or which books are related to which subjects, and only then the librarian will be able to provide these books to somebody who is asking for these subjects. Similarly, the search engine, say for example Google here uses a crawler. The crawler should be able to seamlessly go and see what the website is talking about and understand what the website is talking about. Only then the search engine will be able to understand your website, index it properly, and then provide it as a relevant output to the kind of keywords that the customer is looking for. So there are a lot of things that we have to do in order to make sure that the search engine is able to identify what content we provide apart from keywords. Now the first and most important thing that we need to do is to make sure that the content we provide is up to date, relevant, and something that will interest the customers. Many times there is this notion that search engine optimization is only about how the website is coded, how you have meta tags, how keywords are identified, etc. But ultimately think about your website. Your website is a vehicle wherein you are trying to reach out to customers. This vehicle is what the customer has in front of them to identify, to understand, and to purchase your product. Now you have to be extremely careful to understand what kind of content goes into the website. The content should be extremely up to date. Try to make the content in such a way that it becomes evergreen, or content that is always going to be relevant. Don't have content that is only going to be talking about a certain scenario that might not be relevant in a few days time or a few months time, because in many cases when you start doing such things, your website might not find relevancy and website might not be ranked very high in the search engines. So up to date content that is extremely clear to understand, content that is very fast to load, content that does not have a lot of complexities that the search engine might find difficult to go through, all of these are the first elements that you have to understand. The second element is where you talk about the style and the structure of the website. Now every website has a collection of different pages. You might have a main home page of the website, you might have different sections of the website. Say for example, if you are a company that is involved in say for web designing services, you might have an about us page, you might have a page on services. In the services page you will have different services that you do. You might have a page on web design, you might have a page on search engine optimization services, you might have a page on say content design, you might have a page on search engine marketing, you might be training other people, so you might have a page on that. You might have a different tab in the home page that talks about previous projects that you have done for clients, where you will talk about white papers, examples, etc. You might have a different tab in the home page that talks about social activities, where you will link it to a lot of YouTube videos that you have done, you will talk about examples which you have done, etc. You might have another page that talks about contact us, where you will have a web form that the customer can fill it up and you can reach out to the customer for the queries they have. you might have a form where you have addresses provided to you, it might be embedded with Google Maps where customers can find your office, etc. So this website that we are talking about has in itself a home page, which is the basic page that the customer comes to. We also call it as a landing page at times. It also has a lot of other domains or other pages that are connected to the home page. Like we discussed, there is an about us page where you talk about all the history of the company. There is a page that talks about the services that you provide. There is a page that talks about previous case studies and examples which you have done for other clients. There is a social page where you bring in all the social media and all the YouTube videos, etc. There is a contact us page, etc., etc. Now you have to be extremely careful in identifying a structure and a style of the website that is very easy, very simple, not just for the search engine but also for customers. Even customers need to identify what the website is about, what is the kind of navigation that I need to do, and where do I reach if I go from this stage to the other, because that is how the customer will find the website easy to use. So style and structure of the website is extremely important. In most websites you will find that there is a hierarchy. There is a parent child hierarchy in most of these websites. In the case that I talked about, there is a home page of the company or home page of the website that you have. The home page has 5 children. In the case that we talked about, the first child is the about us page, the second child is the services page, the third child is prior experiences or prior case studies, fourth is the social page, fifth is the contact us page. So each page or the about us page or the main landing page was the parent, you have 5 children. If you go into services page, this becomes a parent now. It might have multiple children. Like we discussed, your web design services is one child, your search engine optimization services is another child, your training services is the third child. If you go into your earlier case studies done for one company becomes one child on one page, etc., etc. So there is a very clear structure and very clear parent child hierarchy on the website. It helps of course the person who is browsing through your website to understand where should I go from one step to the other to identify what I am looking for. Say for example, if I am looking for the services that you are offering, then I know that I have to go from the home page to the services page to that specific service that I am interested in. If I am looking to come to your office or to talk to you on the phone, I know if I come to the home page and then go to the contact us page, then I can identify what is your phone number. So this clear structure is extremely relevant for customers. The customer will spend time on your website, your bounce rates will be low, the search engine will also find it very easy to understand what kind of structure you have. The second thing is to have site maps. In many websites, like I discussed earlier, you will find that there is a site map. The site map is basically all the different pages on your website which are matched up and which are provided in a clear structure. So the structure that I discussed to you earlier is provided in a site map, which basically helps the search engine to identify which are the pages that are out there, what is the connection between each of these pages. So there is this tool called the Google Search Console. Now Google Search Console is a very effective tool for webmasters to identify what kind of elements are missing in their sitemap strategy or what kind of elements are missing in the whole website. So if you are going to have the sitemap like we discussed earlier, if you provide it to the Google Search Console, it is going to now tell you if you have actually missed out something, if the crawler or the search engine is not able to access the kind of sites that or the structure of your website. So based on the Search Console, one could actually refine the structure of the website so that it becomes much more easier for the search engine to now crawl through. Remember that the whole activity you are trying to do here is to make it very easy and very effective for the search engine crawler to now understand what your website is all about and what the website is actually trying to say. And always remember that the crawler is not a human being. It is an algorithm out there which is trying to look for specific things, and the easier you make it for the crawler, the easier you make it for the search engine, the better the results are going to be. So Google Search Console, sitemaps, the structure of the website, the parent-child hierarchy, all of these are essential elements. Another important element of on-site or on-page optimization is the performance and compatibility of the website. Like I mentioned to you, slow websites are generally not very effective because slow websites don't provide the customer the kind of value that they are looking for. So your website should be fast enough. It should be as fast as possible. Your website should be compatible with different operating systems, different browsers, different digital devices, etc. And of late, search engines have started giving a lot of importance to websites which are also mobile compatible, websites which are also tablet compatible, websites which can be dynamic enough to change itself when you are moving from a landscape to a portrait orientation on your portable device. So, all of these compatibility and site performance indicators should be taken care of. The next element is how you are going to term the URLs, right. So, when you have the website, there are going to be a lot of links that you provide, and you might have seen that there are some websites which are very easy to understand. There are some websites which are not at all easy to understand, because there are URLs which are very complex in nature. You might have a lot of extra symbols, a lot of characters that you do not understand, a lot of characters which are very complex and make the URL extremely complex. This is also detrimental to having a better search engine result, or detrimental to search engine optimization. You should make your URL as simple as possible. You might be talking about certain keywords that are effective, that are essential in the page that you are talking about. So, your URL should try to identify which is the most important keyword in this page, and the URL should carry at max the keyword that you are trying to offer. There are in many cases you would see there are these percentage symbols, there are these numbers, there are these complex symbols like the @ symbol, etc., that you will find in URLs. All of these things make it very difficult for customers to understand where they are, or which is the URL that they are going to, or which is the page that they are going to, whereby many customers do not want to click on such links. On the other hand, it also does not give the right kind of image or right kind of structure to the search engine. So, the search engine also finds it difficult to understand if the URL is complex. The customer also finds it difficult if the URL is complex. The customer cannot memorize the URL at any times. It is also very difficult because many customers feel that such URLs which are very complex are going to be spams, or are going to carry some kind of threatening content. So, hence they are not going to click on it. So, for both these reasons, your URL should be simple, URL should not be extremely long, it should not be longer than what it is required to be, etc. All pages will have a name. Now, the name generally is what you see on the browser tab at the top when you come to a page. Now, the page name should be simple, and it should be very clearly comprehensible to the customer as well as for the search engine. You generally might be able to use only 1 or 2 words in the page name. So, use the most appropriate words that the customer can understand what he is looking for, she is looking for, and what the search engine might be looking for as well. So, these are some things that you can do, and now there are also different elements that you can do with respect to the HTML language that you are using. HTML language is basically used in order to have links that connect to different web pages. Hypertext markup language is something that most of you would be aware of. Now, there are different tags that you can use to tell the search engine what the page is all about. There are 4 different tags that we will talk about. There is a description tag, there is a title tag, there are meta keywords, and there are heading tags. The title tag, of course, is going to talk about what the title of the page is. The description tag is a small description of what the page is. It is kind of a small summary, a very short summary of what the page is all about. There are meta keywords that you can provide, which are specific keywords relevant to that page. Then your page will have a set of headings. Say for example, if you are writing a page which is about a mobile phone that you are trying to sell. Now, this mobile phone will have different features. The main heading tag could be the name of the mobile phone. If it is a Nokia 3310 mobile phone, the main heading would be Nokia 3310. Now, there are different elements that help you organize content around this mobile phone. So, there could be something about the display, that could be one subheading. There could be something about the battery life, which could be another subheading. There could be something about the charger type, that could be a third subheading. There could be something about the connectivity options, 4th subheading, and if remember the new Nokia 3310 models that come out which have cameras, so that could be another heading that you are providing. So, all of these tags can be provided in such a way that it is easier for the search engine to identify what is the structure, what are the keywords in each of these places, which is the kind of description of the page, what keywords directly are related to this page, etc. So, by using meta tags from HTML, which basically is kind of tags that the crawler is looking for in different parts of your website, you can also make your website much more relevant to the kind of keywords that you are looking for. And always remember that you are using a lot of keywords here. So, the title tag, the description tag, the meta keywords, the headings, etc., should somewhere or the other be related to the keywords that you are using. Do not overuse keywords, we will come to that, because that is a problem. Many of the search engines do not want excessive use of certain keywords just because you want to be top on the search results page. So, try to do it in a way that is very organic, in a way that is very natural, rather than trying to overdo a lot of these things which might end up in a problem. Now, there are some things also known as anchor tags. You might have seen that in many pages there are these links to other pages, maybe within your website, maybe to another website. Say for example, we are talking about the services website that you had, the company that you were running. You had the landing page, you had the about us page, the services page, the experience page where case studies were provided, the social page, the contact us page, etc. Now, in the services page, you might have a lot of text written about the services that you are providing. One of the services that you are providing is basically the web design services that you are doing. Now, when the customer is reading through the services that you are providing as part of web design, you might have a lot of things written down, that you have such and such engineers who have such and such capabilities, who are doing such and such things, and then later on at some point you might come to a place where the customer can be shown a case study, which is part of another page that you have on your website. You might want to connect this customer to now go and read that case study which is in the other part of your website. Now, how is that you can connect this customer to the another web page? One option is to say, for a case study, click here, and click here will be the tag that you are providing, where the customer can click and go to this web page. That is not a very effective practice. Rather than having click here, try to incorporate that link into the text. You can basically write down, for a case study on web design services, or the customer, you can basically say case study on web design services and link it to that particular text, which makes it much more effective. The reason is because now when Google is looking for this anchor tag, when Google is looking for this connection or this link which is internally connected to another page, Google knows exactly that this is a case study. So, Google can identify this to case study on web design services as the keyword. Google can automatically connect to it. So, that is why anchor tags are extremely relevant, which also help to increase your on page optimization. There are a lot of other content that you will find, say for example, images that you put on the website, videos that you put on the website, etc. Now, not all search engines can very seamlessly go and read through what images are out there, what videos are out there, etc. So, there are a lot of alt text that we provide, or alternate text that we provide about images and multimedia content which we give. So, every time you are giving an image file or you are giving a picture onto your website, make sure that an alternate text is provided describing what that image is all about, because many a times you would have seen customers go to Google Images and start searching for things, and when they go to Google Images and start searching for things, you might have observed that these customers see images of certain elements and then they decide to go to that page because the image is something relevant to what they are looking for. So, the keyword that the customer is using in the Google Images search page should be relevant to the alternate text that you have used for the image that you are providing on your website. By doing so, you would be able to now get hold of the customer, and the customer finds your website extremely relevant. Similar is the case with videos. You might use a description tag for the video, so that Google or any other search engine now understands what that video is all about, because many a times it is very difficult for search engines to actually get into multimedia content. If you have flash content, it becomes very difficult for the search engine to understand what the content is all about. If you provide content within a PDF file, the Google search engine might be finding it difficult to understand what it is. So, many a times HTML tags or meta tags are going to help you understand what it is. There are some other methods of on page optimization as well. Another example is what is known as breadcrumb navigation. This is something very obvious, something that the name lets out. Breadcrumbs is what we give, it's like evidence as to where you are going. So, if you remember, when you go to any of these websites, if you keep going from one link to the other, from one page to the other, on the top you will have a small section that says that okay, you are from home to about us to history to key people to CEO. So, you know that you are basically navigated from the home page to about us page to the history of the company to key people in the company to the CEO of the company, and you are reading through this content. So, as a customer, I know exactly where I am. It's very easy for me to understand, to go back to the previous page as well. If I want to come back to the home page, I can go and click on this home page tab. If I want to go back to the about us page, I can click there. If I want to understand who are the other key people, I can come to the key people tab. Think about the example of when you are going to Amazon for shopping. You might find that if you are going to Amazon, if you want to buy a certain DSLR camera, you might be going into electronics, you might be going into cameras within electronics, you might be going into DSLR cameras, and on top of the navigation or on top of the product page where you are standing, you might see that there is this small navigation bar that says that categories, electronics, cameras, DSLR cameras, and the specific product that you are looking for. So if it is a Canon product, it will say Canon specific device model number. If it is a Nikon product, then it will say DSLR cameras, Nikon specific device products. Go ahead and try this out on your computer. Try to see if you can see such a breadcrumb navigation. It does two things. It helps the search engine to understand what kind of structure is there, what kind of linking is there, what kind of path do these pages connect to each other, and thereby it can index all of this easier. It also helps customers to go back and go forward very easily to different sections that they have been to. So it helps navigation very easily. These are different ways in which you can do on page optimization, but in some cases you do not want the search engine to go through some pages. There might be pages which are test pages, there might be pages which you are not ready to show to the search engine as of now. So you might use something called a robots.txt file in your root folder in your website, which basically is going to list down all the pages in your website which the search engine should not index, or you want to restrict the search engine from indexing all of these things, which again is important. You do not want the search engine to throw up a link to a page which you do not want customers to see yet. It might be a page that you have not ready to show. Say for example, if you are running an event, the event is about a small promotion that you are doing, you want to start it by the time Diwali comes, but you already have designed this entire page, put it online, but you still do not want customers to see it. So you have not given links to any of this. So you do not want customers to see certain things, put it in the robots.txt file. In many cases you might have lost a page might be broken, and if the Google search engine has not crawled, not indexed this page and not gone through your website again, it might still show that link on the search results page. So what happens if a customer clicks on a page from Google and does not see the page appearing? It might be a case where it might show up a pop-up message, the browser might automatically say page not displayed or page not available, server did not respond, etc. This is extremely annoying to customers. They might immediately hit the back button, or they might close the page altogether, which might end up creating a situation where your bounce rates are high, your relevancy score and your page scores go down, and thereby you might now not have better search results. So in order to reduce such problems, many websites out there use an error page, 404 content not found, page not found, it escalated quickly, that kind of pages are used so that the customer knows that this page does not exist, but the customer is not completely out of track as to what he or she should have been receiving. The customer still comes to your domain, the customer still sees your website, the customer still has the option of clicking your logo or clicking your home page and gathering more information here. He might not necessarily go back to Google, but come to your home page and try to navigate within the page, rather than having seen a page not displayed or page not available or server does not respond kind of a message, which makes the customer extremely annoyed. So all of these are different things that you can do on the website itself or on page to optimize the results on the search engine. So half of it is to understand the keywords to use, half of it is to make sure the website is organized and structured extremely well, half of it is to do with respect to identifying which are the places where you should update these keywords like the meta tags, etc., and some of it is to be extremely sharp in identifying what kind of content are you trying to provide, because content is the king. If you have really great content, you are extremely relevant to customers, customers will come to your page, the search engine will of course show your page as really great. So these are the things you do on your page